This interview is a paid advertisement. It was produced on behalf of the company and is considered investor relations activity under Canadian securities law. All statements and opinions are those of the guest and should not be construed as investment advice. Please do your own due diligence or consult a registered investment advisor. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Newsletter channel. My name is Kai Hoffman. I'm the EdJR mining guy over on X, and of course, your host of this channel. And I'm really looking forward to bringing back Tim Moody. He's the president and CEO over at Pan Global Resources, and we've done some marketing with the company last week and figured we need to sit down again and work through some topics that came up during discussions, but also recap some of the news releases that the company has published just over the last 10 days here. Quite some important news, in my opinion, because they've extended their land package quite massively, and they added a significant person to the board of directors. As you know, we typically don't talk about board additions unless there's some significance, some proper weight to it. And I think in this case, it is worth mentioning that the certain person joined the board. But before I switch over to my guest, hit that like and subscribe button, and we just much appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, Tim, it is great to welcome you back on the show. It's good to see you again.
Yes, likewise. Very, very good to see you. Guys, busy times not only for Pan Global, but the industry as a whole.
Oh, it's busy out there, and it's fantastic to see it because the price rewards everything right now and makes up for a lot of stress, work, and just pain in general that we've been through here. Tim, we've spoken a lot over the last few months, but we have some newer viewers, some newer subscribers to the channel that might not have watched the last 3-4 interviews we've done. Can you give us a quick overview of Pan Global before we get to some of the specifics that I mentioned in the intro?
Yes, for sure. Happy to. So Pan Global is mainly a copper exploration company, but we've now added gold to our portfolio, not necessarily following because the gold price is high, but because we actually made a discovery in the process of looking for a copper deposit. So, but yeah, we're focused in Spain. Our flagship project is down in the world famous Iberian Pirate Belt. That's where most of Spain's mining activities are located. I think it's the second largest producing region of copper in Europe at the moment. It's a mining-friendly jurisdiction. We're surrounded by mines. We have a really key strategic position in this famous mineral belt. So, yeah, mineral resource to come out later this year. Well, we've expanded our area. We've got a lot of upside here with many new targets that are as yet untested. And as I said, we have a brand new gold discovery on our second project up in northern Spain. Again, a sort of forgotten mining area, but already just the first drill holes on our very first target in this new area has delivered a brand new gold discovery. And add to that, we have at least 30 other targets around it. So lots of upside, a new mineral resource. There's a lot to like at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. And maybe you forgot to mention, but you're drilling as well. So lots going on top of everything else, of course, here. Maybe just to follow up on that, where are you drilling right now, Tim?
Yeah, so we're drilling at Bravo, and we're just starting again at the Providencia target. So the very first follow-up holes after making that initial discovery up in the northern project. But Bravo, we drilled the first sort of 4 or 5 holes, and we stepped back, analysed all the information very carefully, and looked at the geophysics because we weren't really hitting anything that was explaining the geophysics targets that we were testing. And whilst we're getting some indications of mineralization, we weren't hitting anything that was really significant for us. So we stopped, we paused, did a really deep dive into all of the information, and we felt there were still very compelling targets there. Firstly, potential for massive sulfide remains at Bravo associated with that big gravity anomaly, as yet not explained. And we have a big IP chargeability anomaly as well, which is very strong, and it looks like we may have drilled just in between 2 different sources, and perhaps a bit unlucky with that hole. So we're going back. We're drilling. We have 3 more holes at Bravo. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll take a look at the map here in a second as well, and the geophysics that highlight Bravo quite well. But you're sitting in the in the office now at Escacena. I can see that, and you're sitting probably in the same chair I've sat in a couple of times during our site visits. And what can you tell us from site? How is drilling progressing? How are things?
Yeah, so as I say, we're drilling at Bravo. We may actually have 2 drill rigs going at Bravo to try and finish these three drill holes that we've got planned. And at the same time, we've got a small team up in northern Spain, preparing for drilling the follow-up drill program at the Providencia target to follow up this gold discovery.
Fantastic. Tim, let's go through the press releases a little bit, not necessarily in chronological order, but you've recently added a new member to the board, quite significant, I believe. That's why we bring it up. As I mentioned in the intro, we typically don't discuss like additions to the board unless it's like a Pierre Lassonde or so. But I think in this case, it's really worth mentioning because Roger Davey has quite some significant background in the area that you're working in right now. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, for sure. So one investor said to us, with the strength of our board, we should be running a billion or multi-billion company, not a 50 or 60 million market cap company like Pan Global is at the moment. But anyway, we do have a very experienced board of directors with lots of big company background. But Roger Davey, we weren't actually looking for a new director, but the opportunity for Roger to join our board arose, and we were very happy to have Roger join us. So, a bit of the background. So, Roger was a director of Atalaya Mining, which is the premier copper producer, the biggest copper producer in Spain, in the Iberian Pyrite Belt, the same belt where our main project is. And he was the chairman of that company for the last 10 years. So he really sort of helped build the team that got that mine back up and running. And this was the mine that, where Rio Tinto, the Rio Tinto company, began its journey. So this is a very important mining project, but Roger was at the head of that. And as I say, chairman of Atalaya for the last 10 years. So because of a peculiarity with the London Stock Exchange rules and with Atalaya moving to the main board on the London Stock Exchange, directors can only stay on the board for, I think it's a maximum of 9 or 10 years. So, that meant that Roger had to step aside and he approached us. He liked what Pan Global were doing. And so he wanted to have some continued sort of interest in Spain, and so we asked Roger to join us. So very glad, given he brings operational background. Obviously, running a mining company in Spain is also very significant. I think it was 12 or 14 years with Rothschild, so he brings a whole dearth of, let's say, strategic banking and operational expertise to Pan Global. So great addition.
Absolutely. No, that's why it's worth mentioning, 100%. Usually we just brush over board additions, but I think it makes a lot of sense. And the 10-year background at Atalaya is just really, really worth discussing here. Absolutely. Tim, moving on, and we need to take a closer look at the press release that you put out just, October 2nd, October 3rd. It was a holiday here. It was a Friday, Saturday. It was a Thursday, Friday. It was a holiday in Germany. But you actually felt the need to also halt the stock for that press release, and you added some ground at Escacena in southern Spain in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. And let me pull up the map here real quick. Tell us a bit, why did you feel the need to halt the stock, and why is it so significant?
Yeah, look, once we got the confirmation that we'd won this or been awarded this new area adjoining our flagship project, we felt it was material enough that we should get that news out just as quickly as we could. So it was a short halt, and we announced it, and the reaction has been very good ever since then. So look, why is it important? I mean, as this map shows, the tan coloured area was the original land package, about 5,700 hectares or thereabouts. So the green area is the area that we've just been awarded, which adds about another 4,300 or something, about 78% increase to the overall land package. So the contiguous land holding now is about 10,000 hectares. And we have a couple of other blocks as well, which take it up to about 14,000 hectares. Now, so why was this really important for us? So when we first got our land position in the Escacena project area, that area shown in that tan colour, we also acquired some old exploration information from Exxon, a big oil company, which included a gravity survey map. And using that information, we identified a number of targets in that initial area, including the Laramana gravity anomaly. And that was the first target we tested in that area, and those first holes were discovery holes. We now have 192 drill holes at Laramana. It's an important copper discovery, and it's still growing. So it's that same data set that extended to the south into this area that we've just been awarded. And we could see all of these other targets in that area. And we even before we drilled at Laramana, we wanted to get this other area to the south of us. And I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, we tried to get the area released or put up for public tender way back then. But through the various machinations of their local administration, they decided to put a number of areas out for public tender at the same time. So we've just been sitting there patiently waiting for this area for 7 or 8 years, knowing that there's all of these sort of great-looking gravity anomalies that look just like the target that we tested and led to the discovery of Laramana. So, we were competing against a couple of the other producers in the area. So at the end of the day, we got sort of 99% of the area that we wanted. We are absolutely chuffed to bits about getting this area. As the image on the right shows, which is a sort of compilation, but includes some of those Exxon data in that southern part of in the southern part of this new area that we've just been awarded. You can see just how strong and the scale of some of these other big targets, which are all untested. There's no drilling on any of these.
Tim, how are you going to follow up on these now? Like, what's the plan moving forward? What can we expect as investors now?
Yeah, so I should also add, there were some old mine workings up in the northern part of it, the only area where there's some rock sticking out of the ground. And those, the Trinidad and Carmen copper mine workings, they were mined initially Roman or something, but then about 100 years ago as well. So they sit right on top of one of these gravity anomalies. So that's an obvious area to go and visit, map, sample, do it, and so on. So that's one we would start. But in addition to that, we'll look to perhaps fly the area with a helicopter survey. And that's really a way of helping to rank and prioritise the gravity targets that we follow. So if we have a conductor anomaly coincident with a gravity target, then that would increase the priority of that particular target. And as you can see, there are a lot of targets in that new area. So we need to carefully work through those. It's all covered. This area is flat. There's essentially no trees or anything. It's during the winter months it turns to what do you call it, wheat and sunflowers and so on. Yeah, just it looks just like that for the 95% of the area. So so we need to use geophysics to help identify and prioritise these targets. But you've got to think there's got to be another discovery or two out there, given the success of testing these geophysics.
No, fantastic. No, really exciting. I can understand why you halted the stock as well. And I'm not sure the market fully caught on to it. The feedback has been good. I'm not sure the market fully caught on because 10,000 hectares is a very sizable area now. I'm always getting confused when companies use the term district scale. This has size to it now. I'm not sure if it's a district, although the Iberian Pirate Belt itself is the whole district, right? But 10,000 hectares is nothing to sneeze at. And it's absolutely fantastic. And we've all seen the targets here being presented to us through the geophysics. And we can work things out in our head, I think, when it comes to that. Tim, moving on, we've got quite a few catalysts coming up here in the next 3 months as well, but one that stands out, of course, is the resource calculation that you will be presenting to us by year end. Tell us a bit more about it. What are you guiding, but also why do you think it's so significant? And I'm asking a leading question here, Tim, because during the roadshow, we've gotten some feedback and a lot of interest from investors here in Germany, because they've been asking about KfW funding and to European government funding in that regard. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So look, having a mineral resource will be helpful for many reasons. One, it helps people start to sort of put a better value on the company and what we have there, and that's important for some of the institutions and perhaps some of the potential strategic investors in the company. Once they see a mineral resource estimate, they can start to wrap some numbers around that, and improves their confidence in investing in companies such as Pan Global. So, it's a way of quantifying what we have, but also it enables people to start putting some numbers, around the economics on what this might be in a mining scenario. So, what does that do for us in terms of access to EU funding, for example? Well, as an exploration company, it's very hard to tap into any of the potential sources of funds for grants and so on. We're too early to sort of be looking for investment loans for developing new projects. But certainly once we have a mineral resource out there, we start to look at applying for a mining license, then that opens the door to money for grants. But it could be things like pilot plants or testing other technologies, etc. But also further down the track, access to sort of low interest loans, etc. Look, the conversations change quite a lot with a lot of potential big investors once we have a mineral resource. So really looking forward to having that important milestone passed.
And we're still on track timing wise.
Yes, work as probably a couple of weeks into it now. It's Laramana on its own is quite a simple deposit. Hopefully that won't be too complicated to model up, but we have some sort of satellites as well that could potentially be added into that overall resource. But the initial estimates were 2 months to complete the mineral resource estimate and do an NI 43-101. We're sort of allowing 3 months for that, so we have time to get that done before the end of the year. So we're
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. No, the reason why I was asking about KfW funding as well, because investors had brought up that Arubis recently signed an offtake agreement with Troilus Gold, a Canadian company with a project in Quebec for an offtake of copper gold concentrate, and KfW and SocGen, Societe Generale, are providing a debt funding package for that company as well. And they're in Canada. You're a European company. So I think that's not to be underestimated. Are you hearing more in that regard as well, Tim?
Yeah. Well, as you know, Europe's doesn't have enough copper to supply its own needs. So I think at the moment, I think only about 20% of what of the copper that is consumed in Europe is supplied locally. The rest of it is all imported. So having a potential new source of copper that could not only be mined in Europe but also be processed in a smelter in Europe is a big deal. So it's environmental benefits and a whole lot of other things, cost benefits, etc. that come with that. But as you say, it's the discussions with groups like Arubis and the potential for alternative sources of funding, like the forward sale of a royalty. That again, a mineral resource starts to open those doors. And as you know, we've had have actually talked to Arubis. We've talked to KfW, and so they like what we're doing. But without a resource, we're just a little bit early for both those groups.
Yeah, that's why I'm highlighting as well, because I think that resource could be a bit of a can opener to some interesting discussions further down the road. So really, really interesting. Tim, maybe to sum it up, we talked about the resource as of obviously one of the major catalysts coming up, but just to put a bow around it, what do you expect in terms of news flow until the year end?
Yeah, so mineral resource obviously be quite an important one. Obviously, we'll have we've got drill results still pending from some of the multi-target program that we've been drilling this year. So probably got results to come from maybe 3 or 4 other targets, and the finish of the drilling at the Bravo target in the Escacena project also. So yeah, so lots of drill results to come. We've also got the follow-up drilling that we'd like to have completed before the winter sort of snow arrives up in the north, and start to get an idea as to what the scale and potential of the gold discovery is in the north. So yeah, some news to come from that follow-up drilling once it's completed, and we are starting to do follow-up on some of the other targets up in that area. We have about 30 other targets surrounding us.
Yeah. No, exciting times. Lots of news flow. That's what we want to see as investors. Of course, lots of meaningful news flow, which is key as well. So really appreciate, Tim, you joining us here from Escacena in Spain from the project. Really appreciate it. It's good to see you again, and can't wait to have you back on the program to discuss drill results and also the resource when it comes out. So really looking forward to that, Tim.
If I can just add one thing as well. Obviously, just last week we announced a financing. So the reason for that is we want to keep the drill rigs turning. We want to actually step it up. So we have a financing underway right at the moment.
Fantastic. Yeah. No. Got to be a little careful with the securities rules about marketing of financing on air and when we put out this interview. That's why I don't want to drill onto it, but I hear it's looking good. So I'm not too concerned that you're not hitting your financing target here, and the drills will keep on turning, Tim. So congrats on that, and we'll catch up very soon. Really appreciate you joining us, Tim. Thank you so much for everybody else. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you found this conversation insightful here with Tim Moody. And if you haven't done so, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously, and we much appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care out there.